Hello guys, BMW just released the BMW i4 specs, and in this video I'm gonna compare it with the Tesla Model 3, which is the obvious rival, and also tell you all about the window and all the specs, the design, everything. So let's dive right in. So the Tesla Model 3 is selling better now than the BMW 3 Series, at least in the United States. Tesla is really ramping up the production. That was the main issue. Now they have the production, now they have the figures, now they can ship the volume, the car that they always wanted, the volume seller, which is not too expensive, and they can really start chasing BMW in terms of general sales. But they already overcame the 3 Series, they already overcame the Mercedes C-Class, so Tesla is really going strong, and BMW really needs to respond and really needs to do it fast. So based on the specs they provided here, the main thing probably for people buying electric cars is the range. The range anxiety is always the issue. So BMW has 370 miles of range. Compare that to Tesla's 350. Seems really good for BMW to be able to, you know, have a little bit more. Obviously depends on the battery, of the type of the spec, but in terms of the fastest Tesla, the performance model, 348 versus 373 on BMW is a really good sign for BMW to start picking up the pace. The next big thing obviously is the acceleration. Everybody wants a fast car. Electric cars do give that instant acceleration, so BMW is lagging here a little bit with 4 seconds versus Tesla's 3.2 seconds, but I do believe that BMW could do better. They're probably still holding back a little bit because obviously they have cars like M3s, M4s, M8s and all that kind of crazy Q cars that have acceleration in that range as well, and now they released an electric car which will have same acceleration as, say, you know, M8 or something like that. So I believe they toned down a bit. They could do better with that, and probably in the future they might increase that or create obviously an i4 version which will be much faster than that, and probably will come close to the Tesla Model 3. So let's look back at the history a little bit as well, because I'm really annoyed with BMW. I don't work for them, I don't get any commissions from them, but I'm really annoyed that how it went down during the years. In 2012 in 2013 they released the Model i3, the i3 BMW, and the i8 a year later, I think, which were revolutionary cars for that time. Really astonishing, you know, coming out of the blue, as BMW does sometimes, and they released those cars. Obviously not everyone likes the i3. I'm like, you know, a bit, sometimes I think I want it, sometimes I don't want it. I hate the skinny tires, but the cabin inside is really gorgeous. The doors are really interesting, and that was the start. That was meant to be a car that's gonna, you know, start the lineup for BMW in electric cars. As you say, you know, they had a blank piece of paper that they could just design an electric car, city car, the best way they could, and they were interesting cars. i8 as well, with the small petrol engine. Obviously people were laughing that it makes, you know, weird noises, but at least it was moving. And it was back in 2013, and Tesla released Model S in 2012, so it was really the time for BMW to pick it up, and I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I think because of the slow sales of the i3 or some other issues, but they didn't, you know, continue that. They didn't release like a 3 Series, you know, 4-door saloon, which they should, and I think they lost a lot in that period of time, because since 2013 there was nothing else coming out until now, basically until 2020, when they're releasing now the i4. Probably is gonna be released in the end of the year or next year. So it's a huge time that they lost, in that time Tesla released Model S in 2012, like I said, Model X in 2015, and Model 3 now in 2017, and Model Y now in 2020, this year, more or less. They're also gonna release the Cybertruck, the Tesla Roadster, which I think looks simply gorgeous. And as you can see, during this 7-8 years, Tesla released 5-6 cars, BMW released 2, and they stopped. They've got obviously the mild hybrids, the 330e and 530e, and in the X, you know, the SUV range as well. But they have like 20-mile range or something, which is obviously a bit pointless, because you still have the extra weight with the batteries, and you don't have that range, you know, to get you to work and back in a lot of people's cases. So it's not a good alternative to Tesla, which is pushing really the envelope and had a plan and just introduced those cars, and now they have a nice lineup versus BMW catching up, you know, eight years later, finally with the 3 Series, you know, electric 3 Series. So it's not a good for them, but let's hope that the i4 will be as good, you know, as Tesla Model 3, and basically will take over the sales and at least give them some run for the money. So now let's get to the design, which is obviously one of the standout points for BMW in recent times, in recent years, and I have a lot to say about BMW's design as well, especially the grille. The main highlight is the grille. As you could see in the X7, in the 7 Series, people were laughing. I'm laughing, you know, at the grotesque size of the grille already. And in the i4, it took a shape of the vertical style, and the same thing is gonna happen in the new 4 Series, because i4 obviously is based more or less on the upcoming as well BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe. And as you can see, the vertical grille, a lot of people hate it. I personally also am not the biggest fan, especially when BMW is so confused in doing the grille. In some cars like Z4, they said the sporty cars will have the horizontal grille, and in i4, which should be the coupe model of the range, it's vertical again. In Z4 it's horizontal, and it's really confusing how they want to do it. In the 8 Series it's horizontal as well. Really strange how they decided, you know, that the sportier ones will have the horizontal, and yet they did the vertical here. And the worst part is, you know, they released the concept of the new 4 Series, I think 2 years ago or something like that, and it got a lot of hate. It got seriously a lot of hate, and it looked ugly, and it still does, in my opinion. And obviously, how did they, you know, not even want to listen to their fans, you know, to people actually buying the cars? They didn't even give an option. They didn't, you know, try to listen to people, make it a bit different, make it nicer. They just went with it, and that's the decision obviously to make. But how it's gonna affect the sales, how it's gonna affect the people choosing the car, because obviously in the coupe, the style of the car, you go for the looks a lot, and I don't know how they're gonna do it. They did a really interesting grille, in my opinion, in the M2 competition, especially when you get it in white color and the grille is black and looks like a heart shape. It looks really nice, the combination of the two grilles. I really like on the M2. With this one, you know, obviously time will tell if people like it. The front is where it's at, and I personally don't like the Model 3 Tesla Model 3 front either. I think the bumper needs to be redesigned with that strange thing in the middle, you know, jumping out. But obviously in BMW, at least you've got that alternative. I'm not the biggest fan of the grille either, so time will tell which one will win basically in sales department of people liking them. But at least you've got an option to choose between the BMW and the Tesla. As to the rear, it's really gorgeous, I believe. The new style of the BMW taillights as well. really nice. And we had them already in X4, X6, in the new 3 Series more or less, but the 4 Series will be more sleek, let's say, a bit narrower and wider, so I think they're gonna look just gorgeous. Only highlight here as well with the design, outside design, is the handles. Tesla obviously went for the flush ones. A lot of cars like Range Rovers are going for the flush ones. BMW went with those weird holes under the handles. I don't know how it's gonna look in real, but time will tell again. They look weird on the photos. I would prefer maybe the flush ones that pop out or something like that. And as you can see, at least here in the rear, you don't have the exhausts, which is good that they didn't even try to make some fake ones. You've got this huge diffuser in the rear that apparently is gonna be actually doing something, so let's hope it will just nicely, you know, channel the air and we'll have some nice, you know, function to it, not only the style. So let's get inside the car, which has a massive screen now, and as you can see, it's I just hope it won't cover all the view outside, but BMW is typical for its screens that actually don't block the view outside, which is amazing. And we're not always touch screens, you know, so it also says a lot, because some manufacturers basically, when they don't have a touch screen, they put the screen higher up so you can see it better, but it blocks the vision. In BMW you have always that 7-degree angle, you've got always that vision outside, the visibility really nice. And also the big thing for me versus Tesla especially is the rotary dial, which they kept, and I'm really grateful for that, because think about, you know, driving on a motorway and you have to point with the finger, you know, it's 70 miles per hour. It's not always a good idea. In Tesla you have everything, even the wipers you've got on the screen that you have to set up, you know, switch on the screen. You've got the stocks that I think they operate just one like wiper swipe, so it's always something, but you cannot switch them, you know, permanently. So obviously you need to go to the screen. So I believe that cars shouldn't get rid of this basic stuff, like, you know, wipers, like indicators, all that stuff should be still physical button, physical stocks. And BMW is luckily keeping its really nice new updated design of the center console, you know, with the dial, with the buttons, with the knob. Also the screen is now huge, something like similar to Mercedes, but that's the way to go basically now. And now it's gonna look really amazing and very modern, with still some buttons left, so I really like it. The huge panoramic glass as well, slightly taken from Tesla, you could say. I would prefer a sunroof that you can actually open instead of a glass that is just fixed in place. But at least, you know, it's really nice, airy and spacious inside, and I believe the interior is much nicer than in Tesla and looks really posh, really stunning. Let's see how much of it will get to the reach the production in that kind of state, but as you can see now, it's really spot on. The interior has those typical BMW bits, but still managing to have something new, something different, unique, and I think it was really posh. So in summary, guys, it's been a long time coming for BMW. Since 2012 until 2020 they didn't release a Model 3 electric Model 3 as they should for a long time, I believe. Now Tesla is already reaping sales and already has more sales than BMW. BMW is waking up now, other manufacturers also waking up. There's gonna be a huge influx of new electric cars in the next years. You know, in UK they will be banned. The petrol combustion engine cars will be banned since 2040, and obviously electric is the way to go. Is it sustainable? Is it completely, you know, ecological. Time will tell. The batteries, you know, need to be manufactured, and apparently it's not that simple and not that good for our planet. But I do believe pollution in the cities needs to be at least lowered, and the electric cars are a solution to that. On top of that, you've got the instant acceleration, you've got no maintenance cost almost, there is no oil to change, there is no, you know, filters apart from the air filters. So I believe that's the future. Just, you know, need to be careful about that. But BMW has something here. Finally they came out with real contender for Tesla that is dominating now the market, and let's hope that the market will start to have some competition and we can see some progress here in that department. So you have a choice, have an alternative, and you can, you know, just choose whichever you prefer. But I really love the new design, apart from maybe from the front grille. I really love the specs on the BMW. They really made it, at least on paper, really good, because Porsche recently released Taycan, and compared to Tesla Model S, it wasn't, you know, anywhere near with the specs, but at least it handles much better than the Tesla, so they obviously had that advantage. BMW, I believe, will handle amazing as well compared to Tesla Model 3. So let's see how this pans out in the real world tests, you know, probably in the end of the year and hopefully the beginning of next year. So thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments any questions, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. See you in the next one. Look us out.